Udah ka. Ma'am, makita ka dara na. Yun ba?
Mag-uwat ka, di ba?
Wait lang ha. Ami. I purchased money. Ilan yung copy?
Tag sa tanan para sa akong mga anak nga mga utan.
Super siya. Ah! Jesus.
Oo, dili man daw sila walay kwarto. Kay kuan sa naman
Okay, hello, Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. Hello, Doctor.
Yes, hello.
Okay, so we can start this session.
All right.
Okay, greeting, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Government and Politics Summer School, IGoPSS 2023. I am Muhammadiyah Shah, and I'll be your moderator for this second session. In this second session, we have a captivating topic lineup: governance and development issue, the theories and the challenges in global governance. Now, let me introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. He is an accomplished academic in the field of the political science, having earned her bachelor's, master, and doctorate degree from the University of Gadjah Mada, with a bachelor degree in political science, master degree, and doctorate degree in political science. He is a leading figure in the study of governance and politics. For this time, Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono is also serving as the head of the Department of Government Science at Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta. His expertise and years of research have significantly contributed to the understanding of the various governance and the development issue. Now, without further ado, I invite Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono to enlighten us with his insight on the theories and the challenges in global governance. Dr. Tunjung, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator, for inviting me in this precious meeting. And is it okay if you give me an access to share my PowerPoint?
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, guys, can you see my presentation?
Yeah, yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me use my headphone first because I'm a little bit noisy here, so I have to use my headphone before I can proceed to my presentation. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining this session. In this session, I'd like to share about global governance, sovereignty, and environment issue, complexity of Indonesia and European Union dispute in the case of the nickel export ban. For you who have not been informed about the situation is that Indonesia is one of the most biggest country in producing the nickel. Nickel is something material that is very important in making any kind of industrial. When we are talking about nickel itself, yeah, it is very promising. Yeah, nickel is the world main commodity, which is expected to become a strategic commodity for the future of the electric energy. Yeah, and also included in there is the automotive industry. And nickel is a mineral that can store the best energy and can combine with solar energy. At the global level, the future for the nickel market is predicted to be really bright, yeah, due to the exponential growth of the electric vehicle industry. And the global push to accelerate the electric car or electric vehicle, yeah, we know that the electric is getting booming nowadays, is expected to increase world demand for nickel until 2030, right? And I think on the other hand, we have to also aware that the use of nickel is not without the risk. Nickel mining pollutes the waters around the mining area, yeah, and through the river flow can have an impact on the marine, yeah, can have an impact on the marine, and it can make people suffer. The heavy metal, yeah, such as copper, iron, and also platinum that had been involved in the industry and mining of the nickel itself, yeah, can causes river and coastal pollution, and it result in the great impacts to the life of the surrounding community. Indonesia is the world largest nickel producing country with the estimated worth about the Indonesia is the world largest nickel producing country with the estimated world largest nickel production. Indonesia export nickel to several countries such as in China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and also the European Union. But in 2020, the government of Indonesia decided to ban the export of the nickel core because the government of Indonesia presumable that the industry in the domestic area in Indonesia should have the share of the nickel itself. Therefore, Indonesia clearly has an interest in prioritizing domestic consumption of the nickel and also making nickel downstream on the national strategic project. In order to maintain domestic demand for nickel, in January 2020, Indonesia finally banned the export of the nickel ore or the raw material of the nickel to another country. And we can see that this policy to ban the export, yeah, has made the European Union become filed a suit, yeah, to the World Trade Organization. The European Union considered that Indonesia nickel ore export restriction policy violates the GATT, GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trades, which regulates the general elimination of quantitative restriction. GATT, as we know, is one of the legal spaces that regulates multilateral agreement on goods that must be obeyed by all of the WTO member. And right now, we know that Indonesia is one of the member of the World Trade Organization. Okay. Is my presentation running, guys?
No,
Hello?
no, it's just at the first slide. It's not moving at my end.
Right, guys? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, check. Okay, guys, am I audible right now?
Yes, doctor, we can hear your voice.
Okay, sorry for this inconvenience. All right, I will proceed my presentation. Yeah, as you can see that Indonesia is one of the uh, most producing country of the nickel. But in the other hand, that the mining also have a lot of risks. For example, we can see that Sulawesi, one of the biggest island in Indonesia, suffer some forest damage. We can see also that in Sulawesi, there are also river and coastal pollution, which greatly impacts the lives of the surrounding community. The other problem is that the production of the nickel, yeah, had been bigger in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, there is a policy that the government of Indonesia restrict any any export of the raw material of nickel to overseas. And we can see that when the European Union, who consume a lot of share of the nickel production from Indonesia, they see that this policy will undermine their industry. So they filed a suit to the World Trade Organization, and finally, World Trade Organization, gave a decision that Indonesia had to stop the export ban to the other countries. And now we will see this situation from the perspective of global governance. What is actually global governance? What is meant by global governance is actually still debatable, guys, because global governance in one side can be seen as a normative project. We can see that global governance is positioned as an effort to respond to the challenges that arise as a result of globalization. Yeah, namely the development of new centers of power, new center of authority, and also new center of competence outside the framework of the nation state. And one very important center of power is the market. Globalization has given more and more power to productive and also financial forces in dealing with territorial states. At the same time, global governance can also be seen as a descriptive and analytical framework. Yeah, it can be used by academician, a scholar, to understand, about the response to economic globalization. Yeah, global governance as a descriptive and analytical framework, can be a tool, for us, for the academician or scholar, to understand the issues in the environment and also human security. Or in the broad sense, global governance is a very interesting concept for us, for scientists. As a descriptive framework, global governance is the basis of efforts to understand global development that are emerging at this time. Yeah, we can see that there are the increasing importance of levels other than nation state. Some organization beyond nation state, and the second one is the significance, of nation state capacity or state control. And the third one is the increasing role of other political actors, such as non-governmental organizations and also private companies. The various development that occurred change the conditions for the application of political control. Yeah, political control at different level, and as a whole come to be known as global governance. And one issue that often arises in this perspective is the issue of sovereignty of the nation state. Yeah, I will show you an illustration by this case, the export ban of the nickel raw material from Indonesia had been resulting in a file suit by the European countries. As an analytical framework, the concept of global governance provides space for efforts to understand a new form of political order. For example, we can see that global governance is a multi-level global political order. It is different with international relation, for example, because if we see international relation is limited to the international actor, for example, government to government. But when we are talking about global governance, we will talk about multi-dimensional actor in local, national, and also international actor. That is why, yeah, there are some various definition of the global definition of global governance. For example, a definition of global governance that had been proposed by Gordon Kerr and Weiss. They said that global governance are efforts, yeah, to bring more orderly and reliable responses to social and political issues that go beyond capacities of states to address individually. The second definition of the global governance from the Commission on Global Governance, or CGG, in 1995, global governance is defined as the sum of the many ways individual and institution, public and private, yeah, manage their own affairs. It has been viewed primarily as intergovernment relationship, but it must now be understood as also involving NGO, non-governmental organization, citizen movement, multinational corporation, and the global capital market. It is continuing process through which conflicting or diverse interests may be accommodated and cooperative action may be taken. And the last one, yeah, a definition of global governance from Thakur and Van Langerhoof, yeah, they state that global governance is the complex of formal and informal institution, mechanism, relationship, and also process between and among states, markets, citizen, organization, both intergovernmental and non-governmental, through which collective interests are articulated, rights and obligations established, and differences are mediated. Actually, this Thakur and Van Langerhoof definition concerning global governance is very interesting. We have to aware that the proliferation, yeah, the proliferation of the actor in the global governance is much of the global governance literature. I mean that we can see that mostly in the literature in global governance, yeah, give very strong emphasis in the proliferation of the Tor. Stated differently, since various types of actors have gained the capacity to form transboundary social institutions to address transnational problems, political agency is increasingly located in sites that beyond the state. The following is only a brief list intended to illustrate whose actors are. Yeah, I think we can see that this contemporary global governance actor, at least international organization, international bureaucracies, international non-governmental organization, or INGO, yeah, hybrid organization, state agencies and local communities, private foundation, business actor, yeah, epistemic communities, and migrant communities, according to Carnes and Mings. So we can see that we can hinder, yeah, we can avoid the intervention of internal organization into a domestic affairs. For example, in Indonesia, we have to aware that the nickel deposit, yeah, is belongs to the Indonesian people. It means that the Indonesian people should have a freedom to sell or not to sell, right? But we can see that in global governance, in this globalization era, Indonesia cannot decide, yeah, will sell or not sell, yeah, and their deposit of mining, especially nickel, yeah, without inviting any objection from another countries. And today, activities in international trade are governed by a complex and complicated set of international regulation. I think you have heard about GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. Yeah, the main idea of establishing the GATT is that trade and economic relations between countries are carried out according to the targets in order to increase human living standards, provide employment, and increase income, as well as fulfill needs, fully utilize world resources, and also expand production and exchange of goods. GATT expand. Finally, GATT will be succeeded by WTO. WTO stands for World Trade Organization, is the sole international body concerned with the provision of cross-country trade. And the WTO organization is based in Geneva, Switzerland, that basically there is an agreement which is duly signed and negotiated by member nation of the world and confirmed in their parliament. In real sense, yeah, like what the context of our discussion today is that the World Trade Organization is a place where the government of member countries attempt to resolve, yeah, their trade problems they have encountered during trade with other countries. Yeah, as we have discussed before, Indonesia have a lot of mineral reserve. Yeah, the biggest reserve or the biggest deposit of nickel is located in Indonesia. So Indonesia, as the what is it? As the country who have that deposit, should be able to make a decision. Indonesia will sell or not sell, yeah, their deposit. But we can see that the policy of the Indonesian government for not selling or not exporting their ore, their nickel ore to overseas, yeah, finally inviting the WTO to what is it, to make a decision that Indonesia is guilty for not selling their nickel to another countries. And in another side, yeah, apart from the lawsuit that had been made by the European countries to the WTO organization, nickel is also have a frightening environmental impact. Yeah, we have a very destructive environmental issue when we are talking about the effect or the consequence of the nickel mining in Indonesia. One of the organization in Indonesia who have a very high attention toward this condition is WALHI, the Indonesian Forum for the Environment, or WALHI is the largest environmental movement organization in Indonesia. Since 1980 until now, WALHI, or Indonesian Forum for the Environment, has actively encouraged people encourage efforts to save and restore the environment in Indonesia. The destructive power of the environment that had been caused by the nickel industry can be traced from the large area of forest taken over by nickel mining, which eventually has led to increased deforestation as well as the threat of water pollution in the river, lakes, coast, yeah, which is very important for the life of indigenous people. For example, the fishermen cannot go to the sea because the sea they usually dwell in, yeah, had been polluted by mining, especially by the nickel mining. In general, yeah, we can also see that in North Maluku, nickel mining has also caused very serious deforestation. In the last 15 years, Central Halmahera, a district in the north of Maluku, one of the eastern region in Indonesia, has lost approximately 19,000 hectares, yeah, due to the nickel mining. In other words, every year, 1,000 hectares of natural forests are lost. Yeah, in addition, nickel mining in North Maluku has caused serious marine pollution. As a result of this pollution, fishermen lose their fishing ground, which have been their living space for decades. Marine pollution due to nickel mining has driven a decline in the number of fishermen in that area. I will close this presentation. Yeah, this actually this is a brief presentation, guys, because I will give you an opportunity for us to discuss about this later. So I won't take a long time to present. So the closing is that finally the final paper report from the WTO was issued as of October 17 last year, 2022, in which Indonesia was declared defeated, yeah, in the lawsuit because the downstream industry in Indonesia was considered immature. Yeah. Previously, we have discussed that one of the excuse why Indonesia make a policy to ban export of the raw material of the nickel because Indonesia has a reason that the domestic industry in Indonesia should be bigger. Yeah, the domestic Indonesia should be bigger. That's why the nickel deposit in Indonesia from the mining should be consumed by the domestic industry in Indonesia. But finally, the World Trade Organization assessed that Indonesia, yeah, is considered to be still underdeveloped in its nickel industry. That's why, according to WTO organization or World Trade Organization, Indonesia has to stop the export ban of the raw material of nickel. WTO or World Trade Organization is one of the manifestation of global governance in how the countries, yeah, give their attention to their affairs, in how they deal with another countries to deal with their other countries, yeah, to overcome their problem. The World Trade Organization is one of the global actors which illustrates how problems that occur between various countries in the field of trade are resolved. But it should be noted that the World Trade Organization is actually not a country. You know that a country generally has a very statutory instrument, such as what is laws, yeah, coercive power, etc., that its citizen should obey and comply with this statutory regulation. However, because the member countries of the World Trade Organization agree with the rules of the game that have passed, then the decision they make will binding the member countries. This case also shows the complexity of the nickel problem in Indonesia. Nickel mining, we know, has a very negative impact to the environment. We can see that because of the negative impact of the nickel mining, there are a lot of deforestation, pollution of river, seas, and also groundwater. The impact is felt by community, especially those living around mining areas. Yeah, the entry of the environmental activists such as WALHI and other organization into the issue of the environmental damage that caused by the nickel mining in Indonesia shows that in the global governance, the actor involved can be very diverse, very multi-dimensional, starting from the state, civil society organization, business to internal organization. As citizens of the world, guys, of course, we cannot avoid these various problems. I mean, what happened to Indonesia may also be experienced by your country, or even your country has experienced the similar problem. We can no longer turn a blind eye, right, to how the sovereignty of a country is often defeated by the interests of other country. As future leaders, you need to understand how global governance works. So preparing yourself with various knowledge and insight related to these trends will equip you to be able to survive in a world that continues to experience this transformation process. I think that's all, guys. Sorry for any inconvenience as long as my presentation. And I will return this opportunity to the moderator to moderate this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tunjung, for that enlightening presentation. Now we will proceed to the question and answer session. So for the audience, please feel free to raise your hand for asking the question.
All right. How about the procedure of the question and answer? You directly give me the question, and I will directly respond to your question, or the moderator will arrange the traffic of this discussion.
Okay, Doctor. So there is one question from the chat box from Kiao Sotan Mahit. So the question is, the investor from EU member countries, how was the agreement between Indonesia government and those investors? I did not get clear the background issues lawsuit is by the Indonesia government or by the activities of Indonesia to world trade organization.
Can you help me to arrange in the traffic of this discussion?
Yes, Doctor. There is one question in the chat box from Kiao Sotan Mahit.
Okay, in the chat box. From the Medill University, right? Kiao Sotan.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, investor from EU member countries. How was the agreement between Indonesia government and this investor? It didn't get clear the background issue lawsuit is by the Indonesia government or by the activists of Indonesia to WTO. Okay, let me make it clear. Thank you very much for your question. Mr. Kiau Sultan, sorry, Miss or Mr. Yeah, the setting of this issue is that Indonesia is the biggest producing countries of the nickel. So, according to the government of Indonesia, it would be the policy of Indonesia to ban the export of the nickel ore or the material raw material of the nickel. It is called as nickel ore. Yeah, should be should be enriched in Indonesia. Should be processed further in Indonesia. Yeah, why? Because the government of Indonesia think that if the ore or the raw material of the nickel processed in Indonesia, it will give add value, yeah, give add value to the price of the nickel itself. That's why the government of Indonesia make a policy to restrict, yeah, or to ban the export. So who give the policy, who have the policy is the government of Indonesia. The government of Indonesia make a policy to ban the export of the raw material of the nickel. Yeah, but in another form of the nickel, yeah, there is no prohibition. In the domestic industries in Indonesia, yeah, will be allowed to export their product as long as the product is not in the raw material. Yeah, because if the product in the form of the raw material, that will give disadvantage to the Indonesia. I did not get clear the background issues lawsuit by Indonesia government by the activists. The lawsuit, yeah, is filed by the European Union. Okay, the European Union, yeah, for years had been the consumer, yeah, the consumer of Indonesian nickel. You know that the European industry on electric car is growing fast in the last decade. Yeah, and one of the component of the nickel, one of the component of the car is the battery. Yeah, it is different with the with the fossil base, yeah, fossil base gasoline. Yeah, but in the e-vehicle, yeah, the most important element is the battery, and the basic element of the battery is the nickel. That's why the consumption for the production or the industry of the car in Uni-European had been considered as very hit, yeah, by the policy of the Indonesian government to ban the export of the raw material of the nickel. So I did not get clear the background issues lawsuit is by the Indonesian government or by the the activists, they do not give a lawsuit. Yeah, the activists of the environment in Indonesia, they still have a demonstration. Yeah, they have any street protests, etc. But they didn't file any lawsuit. Yeah, to the Indonesian restriction. Okay, it is just a multi-dimension of this case. That's why I use this case to give you an illustration on how the complexity of the case, not just the lawsuit, yeah, that had been addressed, yeah, to the government of Indonesia by the European Union, but we can see also that the nickel mining in Indonesia also cause a lot of problems, such as the environmental problem. I think that's all. My response to Kiau Sultan from Hidel University. Okay, is there any other question? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the understanding answer. And thank you for the question, Kiao Sutan. We'll continue to the next question. For the Harvey Pertulfo from the University of the Visayas, you can unmute your microphone and asking the question. Thank you.
Hello, could I be heard?
Yes,
Okay,
clearly. Yes.
thank you. My name is Harvey Vertulfo from the University of the Visayas. Dr. Sulaksono, you talked about Indonesia and the lawsuit against the EU, and I think I agree with with what you said earlier, that it kind of affects the sovereignty of Indonesia, as they could not make decisions on their own. But I think this could have been avoided if Indonesia just set tariffs for foreign companies rather than just outright banning it. So would that be possible for Indonesia, or does the World Trade Organization or the GATT not allow that kind of policy?
Yeah.
Another question I have is, I am confused with the relationship between the EU versus Indonesia case on nickel and the role of environmentalists in what you've mentioned, like how nickel mining has harmed Indonesia. What could you expand on their relationship further, or am I just confused? I think a more accurate comparison would be Just Stop Oil activists who would block roads and harm civilians, who would stop civilians, and the UN, since I think they are recognized by the UN. I'm sorry, it's a very scuffed description of, but those are all my questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Harvey Vertulfo, yeah, for University of Visayas of the
Yes.
Philippines. Thank you very much for your very challenging question. I think that the problem is we can see that Indonesia has commodity. Yeah, the commodity is in the form of nickel. Yeah, in Indonesia, because the nickel is very needed for the domestic industry. So the government of Indonesia make a decision not to export that nickel in raw material, but they will give the mining result to the domestic industry. So the domestic industry in Indonesia can be growing its time. But we can see that this excuse, this reason, yeah, is nonsense according to WTO, to the World Trade Organization. Why? Because according to World Trade Organization, yeah, the industry in Indonesia is not growing yet. Yeah, yeah. One of the reason of why Indonesia stop, yeah, why Indonesia stop to export the nickel is because the government said, yeah, that the nickel will be consumed or will be shared to the domestic industry. But in reality, yeah, according to World Trade Organization, the industry in Indonesia is not ready yet. The industry of Indonesia who have to, yeah, who should have been able to use, yeah, the domestic nickel is still underdeveloped. That is why Indonesia is proclaimed as defeated, yeah, by World Trade Organization. But anyway, the World Trade Organization decision is not the final one, right? Although the government of Indonesia is being defeated by the Uni-European, yeah, the Uni-European who have filed the lawsuit to Indonesia, yeah, it doesn't mean that the government of Indonesia have to at once stop the ban export. Yeah, it means that Indonesia have to rechance. Indonesia will have the second chance, yeah, to challenge the decision of the World Trade Organization. If I'm not mistaken, in 2024, this case will be revisited. Yeah, so there is a hope that the government of Indonesia still have an opportunity to win the case. Yeah, still have opportunity to win the case. And how about the environmentalists? Okay, the environmentalist is a case in which global governance is a situation in which, yeah, the activity of this global governance is very, very complex. For example, when we are talking about the nickel mining in Indonesia, yeah, in one side we can see that the potential of the nickel mining is very large. Yeah, Indonesia have a lot of advantage because it's mineral deposit in Indonesia. Yeah, there are almost 33 US billion dollar in 2022 as the result of this policy to ban the export to another countries. But in the other side, I want to give you an illustration, yeah, that Indonesia also have a complex problems in which, yeah, its efforts to bigger, yeah, to bigger their production of the nickel, yeah, to give a lot of advantage, have to face with a reality, yeah, that the nickel mining have a very big destructive effect. Yeah, a lot of pollution, yeah, deforestation, etc. Is the effect of the mining itself. So this is the theme of the global governance, the complexity, yeah, the complexity, the multidimensional of the case that we have to face, yeah, in the future. I think that's all. Yeah, my response to you, and thank you very much.
I would like to say what I understood from what you said, sir. So the relevance between global governance and environmentalists and the EU case is that the environmentalists also have a stake in this they also have a stake in the mining problem because it harms the environment, whereas the Indonesian government also would want to tap the potential of the nickel mines. Am I correct, sir? Is that the
Yes,
case? Okay, thank you, sir.
yes.
That's all.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the answer, and thank you, Harvey, for the question. So we continue to the next question. The next question is from the chat box. The Tan Jin Pyo from Mahidol University, Thailand.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, the question had been addressed by Tan Jin Pyo, right?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, Indonesia has indeed faced environmental degradation issues due to nickel mining activities. Did Indonesia do any AEA or SIA before the mining? Yes. Yeah. I will explain it later. Yeah. Are there any activities for getting local communities consensus? Yes. And what measures are in place and at the global level to ensure sustainability and responsible nickel mining practices in Indonesia, considering its impact on local communities and the environment? Thank you very much. It is a very challenging question, actually. Okay, thank you, Tan Zinpyo, for giving me this very good question. I'll try to give you a response, and I hope my response will give you insight about what had really happened in Indonesia. Did Indonesia do any AIA or SIA before the mining project? The answer is yes. Yeah, but you have to see that sometimes the AIA or SIA is not as what it looks like. Yeah, there are a lot of bribery, yeah, corruption, etc. In which some AIA or SIA will be clear, yeah, but it is in reality it is not as clear as what it looks like in the document. You know what I mean? Yeah. Is there any AIA? Yes, there is. But you have to understand that the problem is that Indonesia, yeah, we can see that in the mining project is very lucrative industry in Indonesia. Yeah, a lot of money involved, yeah, in the industry of mining in Indonesia. So sometimes and the business or the corporation, they will give a bribe to the government. So the government or the state apparatus, yeah, will take the money and will give the permit for the project, although there are still any problem, right? And the second one, are there any activities for getting local communities or consensus? Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the people in any area, yeah, didn't give their what is it, their agreement, yeah, and they still have any what is it, any objection toward the policy of for making an area become a mining area. For example, in Central Java in Indonesia, there is a case in which, yeah, the government still proceed, yeah, their policy, although there are a lot of objection from the people, yeah. This is the condition that sometimes happen in Indonesia. And the third question is, what measures are in place at the global level to ensure sustainability and responsible nickel mining practices in Indonesia, considering its impact on local communities and the environment? This is a very, very big problem for Indonesia, because in Indonesia, I have to connect this situation with what happened in political matters. Yeah, in political matters in Indonesia, to become what is it? To become a public official, you will need a lot of money. Yeah, to become a parliament member, yeah, in the local or also in the national level, you will need a lot of money for campaign and also for money politics. Yeah, and there is what is it? Collaboration, a very bad collaboration, yeah, between some mining industry owner, yeah, with a certain public official in Indonesia, in which some requirements to make sure that the sustainability, yeah, of the mining in Indonesia didn't get into, yeah, any destructive effect to the Indonesian environment, yeah, cannot be happen, yeah, because the high level of corruption in Indonesia. And when we are hoping that this impact on local communities and the environment will be diminished in these years, it would be very hard. Yeah, it would be very hard. Yeah, because the condition of the political situation in Indonesia, in which, yeah, bribery and also money politics is still a daily phenomenon. So that is my question. Thank you very much for your challenging question, Tanzin. You. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the answer. And thank you, Tanjin Pyo from Haidal University for the challenging question. So we'll continue to the next question. Okay, so Tristan, you already raised your hand. You can unmute your microphone, please.
So hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon,
So
Tristan.
My question is, how do the economic interests of both Indonesia and the European Union intersect with environmental consideration in the context of the nickel export ban?
Okay, that's all, Tristan. Your question? One question, right?
And I have one question again. How might the nickel export ban dispute impact Indonesia's role in regional and international environmental agreements and alliances? That's all. Thank you.
Again, the second question is not really clear. Would you mind to?
So my second question is, how might the nickel export ban dispute impact Indonesia's role in regional and international environmental agreements and alliances? Thank you.
Okay, one is about the context, right? The context about the relation on the connectivity between Indonesia and also the European Union. Yeah, as we have discussed before, yeah, Indonesia in one side is the biggest producing country of the nickel in the world. Yeah, and before 2020, we can see that Indonesia give their share of the mining of the nickel to any countries in the European Union. And that's why the industry in European Union is growing fast. One of the factor is because the supply of the nickel from Indonesia. Yeah, many vehicle industry in the European, yeah, is very dependent, yeah, to the supply of the nickel from Indonesia. Yeah, but in 2020, yeah, the government of Indonesia, yeah, make a policy to stop the export. Why? Because the government of Indonesia, yeah, do not want that the domestic industry in Indonesia is not developing. Yeah, by stop, yeah, the export. Yeah, by make a policy to stop the export of the nickel, the government of Indonesia wanted that, yeah, the domestic industry will grow up and develop. Yeah, it is one reason, and the second reason is the government of Indonesia really want that the value of the nickel, yeah, will be added. Yeah, there is a value added, yeah, of the nickel export if, yeah, the export will be delivered, yeah, in the further form of the nickel, not the raw form of the nickel, but the further form of the nickel. For example, in the form of nickel as a battery, etc. That will give a lot of advantage to Indonesia. So you can see that the dependency of Indonesia, the dependency of the European to Indonesia in accordance to the supply of the nickel ore, yeah, make the European feel disadvantage of the situation. And finally, the European file a lawsuit, yeah, to Indonesia through the World Trade Organization. Why World Trade Organization? Because World Trade Organization is an organization in which, yeah, this organization try to give or to resolve any problem that had been met, yeah, by their members. Yeah, through the World Trade Organization, the European wanted that this organization will give what they said, a recommendation for Indonesia to stop their export ban of the nickel ore. That is my question to your first question. And my second response to your second question is about the complexity of this situation. when I give you this presentation, when I share you my presentation, yeah, it is not just the complexity of the international actor that had been involved, but I want to give you a reality about how complex is the situation of the mining of the nickel in Indonesia, yeah, when there is a lot of issue, yeah. In Indonesia, there are actually the issue of the nickel. It is not just the environment issue, but there are a lot of more issue regarding to the employability. You can see that although there are a lot of nickel mining in Indonesia, but still the worker, yeah, mostly of the worker, yeah, they come from other countries, not from Indonesia. So it has become a very serious problem in Indonesia regarding to the employability. So the context in which, yeah, this mining of the nickel will be a bigger problem. I think right now we have to understand that the governmental organization is not just any kind of the organization that the member is the government, but we can see that there are also a lot of organization that the member of that organization also non-governmental organization. So right now, although in Indonesia, one of the organization, the domestic organization who criticize the policy of Indonesia in the mining industry is Walhi, but I think in the future, the involvement of the other organization, international, non-governmental organizations such as what they said, Greenpeace, yeah, etc., yeah, will be very possible. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor, for the understanding answer, and thank you, Tristan, for the question. We continue to the next question. So from Milky Way Segovia, CMU, you can unmute your microphone and you can asking the question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Doctor. So I am Milky. I am from Central Mindanao University. So this issue between Indonesia and the European nation over the nickel export ban is a clear exemplification of Indonesia's continuous dependence on trade as exhibited being a part of the World Trade Organization as well as the GATT. And this case, however, is also a clear example of EU's significant influence and its long and withstanding reputation in global markets and trades. So my question, Doctor, is do you think that this issue on nickel export ban highlights the EU's tendency to assert dominance over small nations' economic policies, raising questions about new colonialism and power imbalances in global governance? Thank you.
Actually, that is a very good statement and also a good question. Very good question, I think. And you have answered your own question, yeah, Milky, yeah, because I am agree with you that it is a new form of colonialism. Actually, there is a tendency in which new kind of colonialization is also still happen right now. Yeah, we Indonesia, yeah, in one side also have a weakness. What is the weakness? The industrialization in Indonesia is not growing as fast as in the European countries. Yeah, if the industry in Indonesia growing as fast or as developed in the European countries, and the reason will be very the reason of the government Indonesia to ban the export of the nickel ore will be strong. But you can see that because in Indonesia, the industry of the nickel is not developed, it would be very hard for Indonesia to convince, yeah, the World Trade Organization that the Indonesia will consume itself the product of the nickel. But I'm really agree with you, 100% agree with you. But there is still what is it, unfair, yeah, unfair relation in this world, yeah, especially in the trade area, yeah, between the big countries, yeah, and not with the big country, yeah, with the advanced, yeah, the developed countries with the developing countries, yeah. That is a very hard, yeah, to view right now, because I think this tendency will continue. Okay, thank you very much, Milky.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the answer, and thank you, Mickey, for the question. I'm so sorry because the time is about to run out, and we will continue for the next session. So we have finished our Q&A session. Okay, sorry for some participants whose question have not been answered, and thank you to our participant for engaging in this stimulating discussion, and we greatly appreciate the valuable insights shared by the Tunjung Sulaksono on the theories and challenges in global governance. So in closing, let us remember that the understanding and addressing governance and development issues are crucial for fostering a sustainable and equitable world. So in the summary for this session, the dispute between Indonesia and the European Union over the nickel export ban highlight the difficulties of managing global issues related to the environment while respecting its country independence. So Indonesia bans aim to boost its economy and protect its resource, but it worries the Europe Union, as it may disrupt trade and industries relying on Indonesian nickel. Balancing countries' right and environmental concern with international cooperation is crucial to find a solution. So, in my opinion, to resolve the conflict, both parties need to talk openly and consider the environmental impact of nickel mining. By working together and finding common ground, they can promote sustainable practice and ensure a better future for everyone. So once again, a heartfelt thank you for Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono for being our esteemed speaker today. Hopefully, all the knowledge provided can be useful for all of us. Let's give him a virtual round of applause. Okay, so with that, we conclude the second session of IGoPSS today. I apologize if there are warm words and action from me as a moderator. Stay tuned for the more enlightening discussion in the coming day. Have a great day and see you all in our next agenda. Thank you and goodbye. Okay, friends, so we have to take a picture first, and then you guys can go out to the from Zoom meeting. Thank you. One, two, three. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you very much. See you.
Test, test. Can you hear me my voice, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
Okay,
Can
thank
hear
you.
you.
Okay, be prepared. We will begin our third session. Okay, guys, I think I will give you. Yes. Okay, I will give you about 5 minutes to take a break. Then we will begin our third session.
Already on 10, all money come in. I'm finna go out this feeling, don't doubt this party won't end.
Test, test. Okay, guys, our speaker has ready. And let's begin our third session for today's agenda. Please welcome our speaker, Mrs. Rachmawati Husein. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, that's good. Okay, before we started, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bagas Koronor Abuyogar. You can call me Bagas. I'm from IGov batch 21. And for today, I will be the moderator for the third session. And I will introduce our speaker today. She is Mrs. Rachmawati Husein, M.Si, Ph.D, also known as Mrs. Ama. You can call her Mrs. Ama. She is the lecturer of IGov UMY and the head of Environment and Disaster Management Unit of Asia. And Mrs. Ama Education, she is undergraduate from Gajah Mada University, English Studies program. And she took her master program from University of Cincinnati, USA, from urban management, and her PhD program from University of Texas at disaster management. Okay, ma'am, I will give you an hour to you to deliver the material, and we will have the Q&A session. The Q&A session, I will divide it into two sessions. The first session is 3 questions first, and then 3 questions for the second session. Okay, ma'am, time is yours.
Thank you, Bagas, for introducing me, and good afternoon, everyone. How are you all? Still awake?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Yeah, afternoon is always not easy to handle. Yeah, hopefully you are still have an energy to follow the last session today, because this is the third session. You might get tired in front of your computer. I try my best to tell to make it try to make it interesting, hopefully, by telling you stories. I'm not going to give you a lecture, but I'm trying to tell you the stories, what or how the civil society organization, because it is very important when we see in the community, not only state, not only government, or not only public, but there is always a private sector, the civil society that also contribute to the development in general or in particular. So let me share my PowerPoint to make it easier. Yeah. Okay. Here. So I will discuss this afternoon on the Muhammadiyah and it works and development and green economy. So because you are right now joining the Muhammadiyah University, and maybe many of you have not known before what is Muhammadiyah and how Muhammadiyah work in contributing to the development in Indonesia and also not only Indonesia but it's also in the world. Yeah. So I will discuss what actually the civil society, because Muhammadiyah is considered as a civil society. So for those of you that familiar with the word, civil society is the aggregate of non-governmental organization and institution that manifest will and interest of the citizen. And civil society organization is a group of people which operate in the community in a way that distinguish both government and business. And civil society organization is also can be defined to include all non-market and non-state organizations. So civil society very wide. There are many type of civil society organization, here it can consider, let me see, type of form of civil society organization like international and national NGO, community-based organization, and then social movement, women group, faith-based organization, youth-led organization, and think tank and research institution. This is all type form of CSO. Is the basic characteristic is non-government organization and non-profit organization. So it's non-profit and non-government that can fall into the CSO. Yeah, and here, as I mentioned, in a state on in a area, there's always a three parties that categorize, yeah, in contributing to the development of people. Yeah, if we talk about the governance, if we talk about the public affairs, then we will see it's not only government involved in public affairs. It private sector could involve and civil society organization could involve. So here, these three party contribute of the development, and I will tell the story or the explanatory things about Muhammadiyah, because you already learned that via Muhammadiyah University. But what is Muhammadiyah? So Muhammadiyah is an Islamic movement that is based on the Quran, and Sunnah is an Islamic organization with active carrying out Islamic values to encourage good and forbid evil in all fields, and so that it become good in all human being, nature, and environment. Based on this description and vision, you already see that Muhammadiyah is not part of the government, it's not political party, yeah, but it's a community movement, to bring a better or a welfare of society. It was founded in 1912. So it has been more than 110 years old, even before Indonesia independent. It was established during colonialization. Yeah. So because the founder concerned at that time, Indonesia is still colonized, and there is no welfare and no development, in the community. So the founder built the schools and hospital in the very beginning to help the community to learn, because at that time only the Dutch allowed to go to the schools, but the native, the Indonesian, they couldn't at that time. They couldn't go to the school. So the founder of Muhammadiyah established school that everyone can go in, and the school is like the Dutch, not like the Islamic boarding school. It's more like modern school. So that's the history where the Muhammadiyah was founded, because how Islam could bring the development. Yeah. So that's the vision of Muhammadiyah. And some of the mission, because there are 10 missions in the as stated in bylaws, you can search the bylaws of Muhammadiyah if you're interested in. So some of them are empowering women, especially women, because at that time women is also underdeveloped. So empowering women in the field of education, health, economy, and social welfare will bring a betterment of society. So this is one of the mission. And the second, promoting and renewing education and culture, developing science, technology, art, and increasing research, promoting economy and entrepreneurship, improving the quality of health, humanitarian and community welfare, and preserving, developing, and utilizing natural and environmental resources for welfare, and developing communication, brotherhood, and cooperation. So this some of the mission, because Muhammadiyah want to make a betterment of the society. If you already discuss about development in general, the development definition of the development meaning is how community move from one state to a different in regard for the betterment, yeah, and increasing, yeah, a better or the welfare, yeah. So this is some of the mission, and for I'm just explaining some of the Muhammadiyah and to the work that been doing, yeah, in regard to the green development or green economy, I thought, yeah. So Muhammadiyah member estimated 60 million throughout Indonesia. And right now Indonesia is 270 million. So it's less than, it's around 15% of the population of Indonesia is a member of Muhammadiyah. Yeah. And Muhammadiyah present in 34 provinces, in 417 districts, 321 sub-district, and 8,107 villages and neighborhood. So this is like a 10%, and in all provinces in Indonesia. And Muhammadiyah is like government within government. So within Muhammadiyah, there is a department or unit, like economic unit, even foreign affair, yeah, even the social welfare, yeah, and different type of higher education, secondary education, and also Muhammadiyah have wing organization. And you will see this is part of the mission of this is the structure. It's like the structure of the government in Indonesia, the central board, national level, and then the province. This is the, we are not some. If you are from Malaysia, there's a federal, but Indonesia is probably like the Philippines and like Thailand, yeah, is province, and then there is a district, sub-district, branches. So here the Muhammadiyah down, yeah, to the village level, yeah, so the community level. That's why Muhammadiyah called the civil society, yeah. Sometimes it's called faith-based organization because it's Islamic organization. Sometimes it's defined as NGO. So Muhammadiyah called an FBO, faith-based organization, an NGO because non-government, a TSO because a civil society organization, and some also defined as a grassroots because Muhammadiyah also working at the grassroots level, yeah, at the community. And you will see some of the part of contributing the society. I'm taking just one of the theory. This is the only part that I'm taking as a understanding, yeah. CSO, yeah, because the role of NGO or CSO usually defined in the theory. There are three roles of CSO. First is advocacy, and then the second, providing services, any services like economic, health services, yeah, and other, yeah, education, yeah, education, economic, environment, health, and various type of services, and also facilitation and intermediary or bridging, yeah. So in advocacy, HCSO could work through its network or alliance, and also consultative, yeah, to advocating the issues, yeah, or strategies or the policy that already made by the government, yeah, or public sector. Then the advocacy will help, yeah, to advocating the gap or the problem that faced by the community or the society. So this is one of the role is advocacy. And then the second one is services, inclusive, effective, and responsive. Yes, to be able to serve, yeah, then or to provide services, yeah, to the community, the CSO need to be inclusive. So for example, in Muhammadiyah, we have a Muhammadiyah hospital will provide health services not only for Muslim, yeah, even for non-Muslim. The school is also like the school in eastern part of Indonesia, like in NTT and Papua. 70% of the students are non-Muslim, Catholic, Protestant. So the services must be inclusive. Yeah, it's not only for Muslim, although it is an Islamic organization. This is part of the how the role is providing services to everyone, yeah, in Indonesia, and then has to be effective. Yeah, the way they serve is also need to be effective and responsive what the people need. Yeah, if the people need for like for the orphans, yeah, need scholarship, for example, then Muhammadiyah is also providing scholarship, for example, for the students. So this is part of the services. And then the third is facilitation or intermediary or bridging. So in this case, yeah, Muhammadiyah is not only yeah, providing services itself, but it could facilitate it, the government, yeah, could facilitate the private sector, could facilitate the international government or international donor or international agency, yeah, on providing services or increasing, yeah, the development, yeah, of the community in Indonesia by doing on resource mobilization and knowledge sharing. So this is some of the theory that usually define, yeah, as a role of CSO. What actually the CSO role usually fall into three categories. First is advocacy, the second one is providing services, and then the third one is an intermediary, yeah, to the community, because the community may not have the access to the government. So CSO could help, yeah, facilitating them. Yeah, or the community may not have a courage, yeah, or may not have the ability, yeah, to seek the help from other sources, then NGO could or CSO could facilitate. So this is the three main role, and I will discuss this role within Muhammadiyah following this slide. Yeah. So to give you a picture, yeah, how big the Muhammadiyah and how complicated is the Muhammadiyah, because Muhammadiyah is has so many institutions. For example, Muhammadiyah have 635 orphanages, elderly, nursery, and disability home, and then having 437 saving and credit union. With this one is helping, yeah, people to do the economic development and how people could work on their livelihood, yeah, to help to build the welfare of their household. Yeah, it's very important, the saving and credit union. And also Muhammadiyah has 457 hospital and clinics here, and have more the 176 university colleges and 19,000 schools throughout Indonesia, including Islamic boarding school 103 and 13,000 mosques. You can see here how Muhammadiyah, if you learn on the development usually focusing on economic, on education, yeah, and welfare of the people. So this is part what Muhammadiyah contribute to the development is how Muhammadiyah helping the government, yeah, or complement to the government in providing services to increase the quality of life of the Indonesian community. But not only in Indonesia, because Muhammadiyah is also helping humanitarian aid, both on natural and conflict overseas, yeah, in various countries, and also working or helping, yeah, the neighboring country, like also helping in the Philippines. We provide scholarship for Mindanao and for Patani, for example. This is part of the contribution, not only within the country, but it's also overseas. Yeah, so this is of the development goals, how to increase the capacity of the people by providing good health, no health, yeah, services, yeah, good education, yeah. This is part of 17 of the sustainable development goals, yeah. And then I will touch on the Muhammadiyah and SDGs, yeah. Since Muhammadiyah is one of the biggest organization in Indonesia, which engage yeah, various sector and religion, social, community, economy, education, environment, and health, Muhammadiyah is one of the organization that contribute to the achievement of the sustainable development goal, because all the target that already mentioned in the sustainable development goal is also done by Muhammadiyah, yeah. And the movement of Muhammadiyah is taking part amid the Indonesian nation by establishing various charity businesses which truly capable of touching the lives of many people. For example, in education, although it private as an institution, the Muhammadiyah many times provided scholarship and also help, yeah, for the people who do not afford to pay the tuition or to pay the health, yeah, in the hospital, for example. So this is how the program, yeah, touching the lives of many people. And then Muhammadiyah, through the activities of its agency, also strengthen the three main pillars of sustainable development, including social, economic, and environment. And I will give some of the example, yeah, how Muhammadiyah focusing or strengthening the three main pillar, yeah, on social, economic, environment through the community empowerment that done by Muhammadiyah unit, ya. Muhammadiyah has a unit called Majelis Pemberdayaan Masyarakat, is a council of economic community empowerment, ya, that aim at reducing poverty, supporting micro businesses and farming, and also conserving the living environment, such as restoration program of tropical forest, ecosystem through the development of non-timber yields to improve the income of the community and the reduction of carbon emission. So this is some of the project or program or activities that done by Muhammadiyah in contributing the achievement of sustainable development goal, because how the development will not destroy the environment, will think about the future, yeah. So this is part of the strategy that done by Muhammadiyah through this through its unit, because Muhammadiyah has many units, yeah. I'll give some of the example of the unit of the Muhammadiyah community empowerment, yeah, council, yeah. How does it work? So some of the work that done by Muhammadiyah is like agricultural cultivation, by performing training and technical facilitation, and strengthening group as social capital, and strengthening the land intensification strategy. So Muhammadiyah not encouraging for the expansion, yeah, or extensification of land farming, because otherwise then there are many forests will destroy it for the farming. So what they do is the cultivation is done by the land intensification strategy, by how to maximize, yeah, the land instead of the extensive by opening farming everywhere, but how to make the quality of the farming, yeah, by land intensification strategy. And then the second one is processing of agricultural yield, by initiated the identification of potential and value of benefit that become a way of community creative economy. Because many times people or community do traditionally. For example, in the past, they grow rice. Everyone grow rice. There is no other crop, for example. And in Indonesia, it's neat, it's very important to also identifying the potential. For example, some of can be used for coffee, because Indonesia is also very famous of the coffee and chocolate or cacao, and also other spices, like pepper, and then the many copra and other spices that are used, and all over the world, because this is also like in many Southeast Asian country, we export many spices and agricultural product. So this is part of the one that done by Muhammadiyah, how actually the establishment of joint business group. So the community on the ground could produce a social capital and growing entrepreneurship mentality as the business capital. So they could produce more, they could yield the product, in order to increase the quality of life, because they want to increase the quality of life by processing the agricultural yield. And then the third one is marketing process, because although you have a good product, but if there is no marketing process, then it's difficult, to market your product. So it's very important to help the community to have a good marketing process by conducting assessment, establishment of cooperatives as the marketing institution, and also training to enhance mentality and the capacity of cooperative management. So Muhammadiyah, through the the Council of Community Empowerment, try to push or to ask or to work with community to establish the cooperative, how the community on the ground working together to be able to market their product, how they could work together, building partnership with stakeholder, and also building partnership with the private, with the government, to be able to send their product to be imported, for example, to export all their products. So this is some of the one that they do. And there is also one of the project that they done, the program, which is done in some of the area, like this one. I took the example of the project that done in Borneo, where the tropical rainforest lost its land every year. Indonesia lost the tropical forest land almost 500,000 hectare annually, because cultivated as land, as a farming land, or it's used for mining production, and also it's used for monoculture, like for the copra. This is part of the strategy that they introduced, how this program improve the income of household and low carbon economic growth through the restoration of tropical forest ecosystem and the development of non-timber forest product, because many Borneo people rely on the timber forest product for their living, and it will destroy in the long run of the forest, not only the community. And then when the community help the big factory, big industry, to do the timber, the logging, and they destroy the tropical rainforest, which is very important for the world, because Indonesia, Congo, and Brazil is the three biggest country that produce oxygen, or the lung of the world. This is very important to protect the forest, tropical rainforest. And this project has been considered give a good impact because with 190 households that have practiced a new system in forest management on 171 hectare of area. This is some of the pilot project, yeah, for the one village that been facilitated by Muhammadiyah Community Empowerment Council to do the non-timber products. Yeah, how the community could also cultivated land that having like preserving the forest, but it's also they could get forest product. Yeah, for example, they introduced the new variant of teak. For example, they have to plant 5 teak wood, and they allowed to cut 1 or 2, yeah, the maximum. So if they plant 5, so those kind things that introduce. So they also introduce to cultivate different product, not only logging, the one that already open or already burned by the people in the Borneo. They are asked to cultivate for example, for dragon fruit, and then for various spices, yeah, like ginger and so on. So this is part of the impact. And then to be able to meet the green economy, the Council of Economic Empowerment is also introducing environmental friendly farming or organic farming by using less pesticide or no pesticide, or if it's used, then the organic pesticide. Then also you use organic fertilizer. Yeah, they not only encourage people to use it, but the Muhammadiyah also train, yeah, to produce the organic pesticide and organic fertilizer. So they can use their own organic pesticide and organic fertilizer to reduce the chemical residual. Yeah, because chemical things is very dangerous if we eat agricultural product, but it's full with chemical things. So that's why it is encouraged how to use less pesticide and organic fertilizer among the farmer. This is the example how they grow the rice field, and the Muhammadiyah could help, yeah, by using the organic fertilizer and organic pesticide. They can improve, with cultivating land. They can improve the rice product, which is usually 1 hectare is 7 tons, and then it could produce 10 tons. So there are increasing almost 50%. Yeah. So it's very important how the farmer been trained, how the farmer been encouraged, yeah, to do the green economy. It means not destroying the land, and also not extensive farming, but intensified farming. How in one piece of land can produce more instead of you extend open many land. And then the approach or the strategy is also for land cultivation with agro ecosystem. How the agro ecosystem, meaning the cultivation, will use more environmental friendly. For example, if in a year you plant rice twice, in between you plant trees or plant the crops that will help to manage the land, so the land will not destroyed because there is loss of the good soil. So it how some of the trees help making the soil back. Yeah, so it's very important to increase the quality of the soil. So you are not, for example, planting rice 3 times, but you planting for 2 times, and then in between you plant other for example other vegetables or other farming product or other crops that will help refreshing the soil. So this is also land cultivation system. It's very important, and this is how the community are trained to make their own fertilizer, for example, for the animal trunk or the animal waste, and then mix with the the rice, for example, all the leftover the leaves, and then the thing after the harvesting time, so they mix with leaves, trees, bamboos, to make it good fertilizer. So this is some of the environmental friendly farming. And I also want to touch and also introduce the Aisyah, the woman wing of Muhammadiyah, where right now I'm the head of the environment and disaster management unit. So Aisyah is the woman wing and also have their structure from the top at the national level to the down level. And Aisyah Muhammadiyah has introduced the values to preserve the land, how to do or to conserve the environment, and this values or the text or the interpretation of the Quran and the word of the Prophet was discussed and combined in environmental theology. How is the texts or the verses of the Islamic teachings could be used to understand, or to also drive the people, to care to the environment, how to do the economic without destroying, without distracting the environment. So those are discussed in environmental theology. I will discuss one by one. What is the environmental theology, environmental qadar, sodakoh sampah, the trash or garbage donation, and also din Aisyah. So the environmental theology that introduced by Muhammadiyah is a part of values, the fatwa and interpretation of Quranic verses on environment. How actually, as part of the human being in the universe, we should understand the environment. This is part of the sustainable development. How actually the environment is not something, it's not seen as an object, but it's a subject. It's very important to understand the environment. And in this book, unfortunately, there is no English version, but it's still an Indonesian version, but you could also translate through Google right now, although it's not perfectly translated, but at least give a picture, the environmental concept of Muhammadiyah perspective, how Muhammadiyah translate the text or the Quranic verses of the environment into the activity of Muhammadiyah, how actually Muhammadiyah understand the environment, and how Muhammadiyah as a group should protect, preserve, and utilize environment or natural resources wisely. So this is some of the theology that, in the discussion, and how the organization encourage or ensuring all the activity on conservation and preservation, and also institutionalization of conservation and sustainable development. So this is part of the content of the environmental theology, which is used as a basic values of Muhammadiyah. Since we have around 60 million, how actually Muhammadiyah perceive the environment to make better development. So this is the environmental theology. there are a growing number of Muhammadiyah youth that is called themselves as green cadre or kader hijau Muhammadiyah means green cadre or youth green which they are trying to have a network who have the interest in social ecological issue, the issue for deforestation, the issue of the climate change, the issue of mining in the forest. There are many issues on social ecological issue, including the issue of the reclamatization in the beach area, because Indonesia have so many islands. So it's they become the cadre, the youth, the people who are willing to drive for advocacy for services. So the cadre or the youth green fostering Muhammadiyah cadre is increasing scientific capacity and critical understanding of socio-ecological issues. So most of them are university students, like you all, they are concerned with the ecological deterioration, environmental degradation. So they have become the forefront of Muhammadiyah in echoing or in advocating the issue on socio-ecological conflict, because there are many parts in Indonesia, there are conflict of the land changing, land changing. For example, the forest that is changed into farming, the forest that changed for mining industry, the forest that changed into villa. There are many change on the forest, or also not only forest but protected areas, because the protected area is very important to be preserved, but there are many been changed. So this is the youth that not only advocating, but they are also working on research to try to provide the critical understanding and advocating how people should address or to assess community that affected by social ecological conflict, how to respond that. So this is some of the activity done by the CSO or civil society organization. And now I'm going to this is some still been introduced by Muhammadiyah for trash donation. This is also by the Council of Environment of Muhammadiyah, or Majelis Lingkungan Hidup is Council of Environment. They are the leading unit within Muhammadiyah who introduced the trash or garbage donation. So they encourage the community, the school of Muhammadiyah, the mosque, the place of worship, to have donated as a circular economy. I will discuss later on the circular economy, how the non-organic bin, if it's non-organic is sellable, then they are donated. For example, here you see in the picture many bottled water. You will see everywhere bottled water. So bottled water is non-organic, and it could be it could be sold, for example, and they community are asked to donate that. That's why it's called garbage donation, because they donate, and then if the organizer or in the community or in the school sell, they will use to for managing the trash, to pay or to give the volunteer food, for example, where the volunteers are in and classifying, and sorting trash, from the bin. Here they sort it, here in the the picture below picture. Yeah, they sort it. If it's non-organic and sellable, they will be sold. And then if non-sellable, then they will be processed and limit. Yeah? And if there is a hazardous or toxic waste, then they have to be limit and localized. It's very important, yeah, not to have the environmental impact of hazardous waste or toxic waste. Yeah, and this is part here in the mechanism of garbage. This is part of the government responsibility. And then if it's organic, it is need to be reused, yeah, as a process. It can be used of compost or can be used for everything. So this is some one of the program how the green economy using the garbage donation. Yeah, so the garbage will be reused, recycled, yeah, and then been reduced, yeah, the waste. Yeah, this is part of how maintaining, yeah, environment. Yeah? And I'm now going to go to the women wing of Muhammadiyah. Yeah, the Green Asia is one of the movement that have been done by the women of Muhammadiyah in order to also save the planet, to achieve the sustainable development goals, yeah, and also to support, yeah, the government policy on reducing waste, yeah, as part of the green economy and green development. Yeah, how to have or to reduce the waste. Yeah, and the program is zero waste and zero plastic. Yeah, so we encourage, for example, during Ramadan, during fasting month, we are not wasting food, especially during the iftar or the breaking fasting, because usually people collect a lot of food because the whole day they are not eating, and then when they are eating, they put everything on the table, but they are not finishing it. So there are a lot of wasting, yeah, a lot of waste during Ramadan. So they are encouraged not eating too much, and also not produce boxes, plastic that used for the iftar because it's very become multiple, yeah, during the Ramadan, yeah, and Green Idul Adha. So this is during the sacrificing day where they deliver the meat, they are not using plastic. Yeah, limit the use of plastic. So this is big campaign. And also, like, this is in front of the traditional market, the women wing of Muhammadiyah, Aisyah, they provide reuse bag, for example. So whoever go to the market, they are not using plastic. So this is also zero plastic campaign, yeah, and a program, yeah, done by the women wing of Muhammadiyah. Yeah, how the zero waste and zero plastic. And then tree planting, yeah, because in Indonesia there are many like I mentioned, the loss of the forest because of the changing of the use of the land is very very fast. Yeah, so it is very important to conserve, to do the reforestation. Yeah, reforestation is become a major activity to save the forest. Yeah, and also the issue is not only to save the forest for carbon, yeah, but it's also for risk reduction, because as you know, Indonesia have so many mountains, the hilly part. Yeah, so either you are having a landslide because of there are many tree cut, yeah, so there is a landslide or flash flood, yeah, because of there is no, or the loss of forest or deforestation. Then we face during the rainy season a lot of flash flood and landslide, and also the tsunami. Yeah, because there is no mangrove, no coastal vegetation. Yeah, it can also damage, or can also have a big impact to the community in the beach area. So what the women will do is also the movement for tree planting, either on the hills or in the on the beaches, for reducing tsunami impact. And also the tree planting objective, you can see, or you can also, I believe that in your place, I see here from the Thailand, from the Philippines, we have the similar thing, in Southeast Asia, the issue that we face, many, especially in the Philippines, because we have many hazard or disaster, threat, so it is very important to preserve the environment to reduce the climate related disaster like flash flood, landslide, and then flooding, so there are many, and also subsidence because of the climate change, subsidence, erosion, and also the loss of the island. And then the economic is also the other impact of tree planting, because the tree planting is not only save the environment and also creating a better quality of life of the people, but it's also could be used for the green economy. For example, you could still cultivate the land, you can use the wood, you have different type of wood that you could cultivate, and then you can still use the leaves, for different purposes. And on the beach or on the coastal area, they could do the fish or aqua farming, like fish and other sea product, you could have it if you plant mangrove, because if there is no mangrove, there is no fish or other things, like oyster and so on, will not stay on the beach or in the coastal area. But mangrove will provide more food to aqua farming. So it's very important. This not only preserve the vegetation, but it's also provide economic side. So this is called, it can call the green economy, because not only help the forest or the coastal area or the vegetation, but it's also could be used for the livelihood of the people. This is, and since the time is moving, I'll try, probably is only, this is my probably last one slide, and I will give for more on the discussion. So the Green Asia is also thinking for economic circular, how the community waste or the resources that already procure, like I mentioned in the very beginning, the trash donation is part of the economic circular. How this recycling, manufacturing, consumption is part of the work that I thought, the circular school, how implementing the reduce of the plastic product, for example, or unfriendly, non-environmental friendly product, for example, and reuse as much as we can, recycle as many as we can, also recover and repair if it. So we are not easily, for example, we do have computer broken, we are not easily trashing them, but we try to do the recovery or repair, or if it's already cannot repair, then we could use the spare part, for example. This is all the circular economy, how the waste could be treated and used as a product. And you see here, for example, like monitor and so on, and then could be manufactured and circling. This is the economic circular, how all the waste could be recycled. So this encourage especially the waste, domestic waste. Yeah, it could be used, or it could be it could be encouraged. Yeah, for economic circular. Yeah, and I think that's the end. So I give the example of activity, how actually the GSO could contribute for the green economy. So, and also supporting or complement to what the government already done to create, yeah, the development that have the good impact to the society, and also not only society but also have a good impact on environment. So I will end with that because it's already 3:30. So I'll give time to you all to have a discussion.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. For the next, we are in the Q&A session. Okay, the first three question.
I see many hand raises. Okay.
The first is from Milky. Okay, Milky, let's start.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Good afternoon, doctor.
Mhm.
So my question is all about the role of civil society organizations in advancing green economy, specifically contextualized in Indonesia. So I believe it was mentioned earlier that the role of civil society organizations is number one, advocacy, number two, services, and number three is facilitation. So when these three things are combined and amalgamated, it creates effective governance. However, to attain effective governance, it needs adequate funding. While most funding comes from maybe the pockets of the members of a certain civil organization, but mostly fundings come from international donors and foreign fundings. So my question is, do you think that the financial dependence of civil society organizations on donors and fundings compromise the ability and compromise the civil society organization's ability, independence, and objectivity in promoting green economy, especially in Indonesia, for example? Thank you.
Thank you. We will collect three questions first, and then I will respond, Bagas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The second question in the chat box from Tenzin, Mahidol University.
Okay, the second question I open. Okay, and then the third one.
And the third question, let's start from Harvey.
Good afternoon. I actually have two questions. Should I have one question first, or do I have to say both?
Yeah, you can say it fast, and then you can have to. Yeah.
And I have two
Okay.
questions.
Mhm.
So my first question would be, I think this is obvious, but what is Muhammadiyah's stance on nickel mining in Sulawesi? And for number two, I think Milky mentioned funding. So how does Muhammadiyah gain their funds? That's all.
Okay, thank you for all the very good question, which is not easy to answer, but I'll try my best. Yeah. The first Muhammadiyah fund all the project, and how to see the issue on the dependency, yeah, like Milky mentioned, yeah. So the issue on dependency is very bad influence the NGO, but for Muhammadiyah, it's since Muhammadiyah is not rely on international donors since the very beginning, it's we are not saying we don't need international donor. We also supported by many international donor, but we are not rely only for the donor. So we try to use the alternative funding. For example, the zakat infak sodakoh is the charity, the donation that collected by the institution in Islamic. They call the zakat infak sodakoh, which is organized usually by the government, but in Indonesia, NGO or a faith-based organization or religious organization allow to collect themselves. Yeah, so using that alternative funding, we could support many activities on various issues to work on sustainable development goals. And also, like I mentioned, in regard to green economy, we try to use the circular economy. How from the donation of the waste could help other activities. Yeah, because if you collect the waste, it can get a lot of fun. For example, you sell the water bottle, like in the US, one water bottle is like 50 cents or $1. If you return to the shop or to the groceries, yeah, like 50 cents, for example, but 50 cents. But if you are collected 1,000 water bottle, you can have so many $1,000. So it will help, yeah, to creating the economy itself. So the green economy could be started from the household and then organized by a group, and then the fund that we got from the selling the used product or reuse or recycle and product, yeah, or remake, yeah, recreate, yeah, from the waste, and then we resell, then it can the economic. That's the idea. So how the economic alternative actually, or the funding alternative, could help to in respond to the need for funding the green economy. And this, I guess, answering Milky and Harvey in terms of the funding, yeah. And to respond the how Muhammadiyah stand for equality and also the not only what do you call not only the I lost word, yeah, in English, yeah. The fairness, yeah, fair trade, yeah. And the Muhammadiyah already advocate, yeah, for example, in not only nickel, yeah, all mining, because some mining they are only owned by the very small number of business in Indonesia. So in Indonesia is like any other country also, the practice of the collusion, nepotism is still happen. So if you are in the big position, you are working with the businessman, and then you can provide permit, yeah, who are elected official giving permit to the supporter. There are many only in Indonesia. I believe it happened in many other places as well, yeah. Because you are supported during the campaign, you are supported by businessmen, and then when you are elected, you give the permit, yeah, to do the mining. And in this case, Muhammadiyah is very strong, is not exploiting, the stand of Muhammadiyah is not exploiting the land. And we also like advocating for what we call the exploitation. It's allowing to use the resources wisely, yeah, and also fairly, because many times the profit goes to the central government in Indonesia, not going back to the district level or the village level. Yeah, that many cases happen. So we advocating for fairly mining, yeah, and fairly, and also not exploiting wisely. We are not stopping any mining because this is part of the economic development, but they have to consider how, for example, if they do the nickel mining or coal mining or bronze mining, they need to consider the environment to do the reclamation, because in many cases they already extract and then they leave. They don't care what after they take that. So it's very important. Although Muhammadiyah is not very well known for environment, Muhammadiyah is well known for education and health in Indonesia. Yeah, so most of the policy that influenced much by Muhammadiyah is in education and health. Yeah, and also right now in humanitarian activities as well, because I've been in humanitarian sector for 20 years, and I also advisory board in Indonesian FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. So we also been heard, yeah, on the policy advice and so on. But in environment, we are not the forefront, but we are more and more right now in the past 10 years. In the past 15 and starting in 2000, Muhammadiyah has the unit of environment. So right now it's 23 years. It's not that long compared to the Muhammadiyah for 100 years, but we start more focus on the issue or environment. Even Muhammadiyah already succeed in unpassing the law on water privatization. So Muhammadiyah finally managed to stop the law, because the privatization of water will affect the community. So we already we already go to the attorney, and then they listen to Muhammadiyah. This is part of the advocacy that Muhammadiyah done. So this is the example, although it's not forefront, but growing number of the policy that influenced by the GSO. And then I want to Panjinpo, yeah. Have Indonesia had notable impact positively or negatively on standing point of GSO trend change due to the political change? If yes, how to overcome situation? Yeah, in Indonesia, NGO or GSO are not very restricted. Yeah, so at least the government not in the past, the government very very restrictive, yeah, on how the CSO should move forward, yeah, to move and work for various development project. But after the reformation in 1998, it's the role of the GSO even stronger. In the past, starting in 1980s, there are hundreds or thousands of GSO growing, mushrooming, because helping the government for development, but they are supervised and overseen by the government during the Suharto era. And then after the reformation, then it's more open. And then what we do, like me, I also part of the Alliance for GSO Alliance for Development and Humanitarian. So there are many alliances to work together to respond the issue in Indonesia. So our member is 600 GSOs in Indonesia, yeah, Alliance for Development and Humanitarian Issues. We work together with GSO from the district level, provincial level, and national level. And we also are supported by the international NGO as well, because they see that without national and local NGO, they cannot do anything. So actually the international donor or agency, they are thankful to the GSO, because if they are not working or partnering with the GSO, they cannot done anything, because the international do not know the country. So it's very important how to utilize the support from outside, not being dependent, but how we influence the donor. What I usually say, how we educate the donor to what we really need to do. So many times we educate the donor what we really need to do, not what the donor want to do. Yeah, so that we could also encourage that. And the second question, in what ways Muhammadiyah collaborate with government, private, and we work, for example, in the green economy, we worked with the Ministry of Environment. Even last week, we have the national gather of the IGoPSS, the woman wing of Muhammadiyah, my unit on environment and disaster management. We are supported by the Ministry on Environment, Directorate General for Waste Management, because IGoPSS was very focal on the waste, the zero waste campaign and zero plastic. So the Ministry of Environment support us, to how to work and even support in terms of funding, and also support in terms of the materials and policy at the subnational level. For example, at the national level, we do the collaborate, and then at the subnational level, they will follow the national level. So that's how we work with the government. We try to work with the private sector. For example, who are producing, we work with one of the cosmetic company, for example, how they limit or they can reuse the cosmetic part. For example, the body lotion, is it possible to reuse the plastic and things like that? So we work with the cosmetic company because women are use many cosmetic. So we are trying to also have a movement how to reuse all the cosmetic plastic. Through that, we work with the private sector, and we also working with the local communities how to again to use the circular economy through the waste donation, to use the circular economy for the trash or garbage management. So this is all working, because without working with the community, then the work not cannot be done. So this if I respond, because there are some question on the gender and also about the abuse, mentally abuse in Muhammadiyah and IGoPSS right now, we try to mainstreaming the PSAA. PSAA is protection against sexual abuse and harassment. So many unit in Muhammadiyah and IGoPSS are trained for that. For example, I used to involve in the unit of Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center. So for response recovery during disaster, they have to be trained on the PSAA, how we should overcome the or to provide protection against sexual abuse. For example, providing separate tent in the emergency response, or to provide hotline if there is a complaint. So this kind of thing. And then if there is sexual abuse, and how we could do the services like helping them to do the healing, the psychosocial, and so on. So we try. It's not yet 100% done, but at least we are moving. That's part of the mainstreaming that done by Muhammadiyah and IGoPSS. I think for the first round, hopefully I already respond for all your questions. So I return to Bagas for the second round.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. For the next session, we have question from Tristan.
Mhm.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, what unique contributions do CSO bring to Muhammadiyah's effort in fostering development and economic empowerment? Thank you.
What, sorry?
What unique contributions do CSO bring to Muhammadiyah's efforts in fostering development and economic empowerment? Thank you.
Okay. If I understand what you are asking is how other CSOs, yeah, to perceive or how the CSO. So um, let me answer because there are other question again in the chat box. Yeah. So Muhammadiyah is working, as I mentioned, Muhammadiyah network with many organizations. For example, the health unit of Muhammadiyah alliance with the health NGO. The humanitarian and development are also aligned with development NGO. So they appreciate what Muhammadiyah do because Muhammadiyah is big organization. Many NGO usually have focus on one thing, yeah. But Muhammadiyah is like government. Muhammadiyah have so many unit like government within government. We have environment, we have economic, we have education, we have higher education, we have things, yeah, health and so on. So they support Muhammadiyah. So they sometimes ask Muhammadiyah to lead because Muhammadiyah have a big followers. By having a big followers, at least could force or could give a voice, yeah, could give a voice. And I will relate this to the question of the sign grace, yeah. How have there been any specific policy of legislative change? I couldn't recall in detail, but what I involve is in several legislation. Like I mentioned, first is legislation on water privatization. Yeah, Muhammadiyah been not only change stop but also contribute, yeah, to the development of laws, yeah, on the privatization of water, and also the law on violence against women, yeah, and also trafficking, human trafficking. We contribute to several things, and also like in the health sector, we also contribute to how the the law on law on foundation, because they will chart or they will there is a law in Indonesia. It will make a similar between foundation and private. Muhammadiyah is non-profit. We are not taking a profit, so we need to have a specific law. There are many other organizations similar to Muhammadiyah that is not non-profit organization. Non-profit organization with the profit organization are different. So in regard to hospital, for example, some are hospital run by the profit organization. Some are hospital run by non-profit organization. There has to be a different law because we are not taking a profit and we are helping the government, for example, to help the remote area, the poor people. There is like 25% of the profit in Muhammadiyah Hospital goes to the poor, goes to the people who cannot pay for the health bills. So this has to be different. So there are many, actually, I couldn't recall one by one, but at least in terms of the green economy and sustainable development, we are echoing, for example, the like I mentioned about the law on water privatization, and also the law on legal legal timber, yeah. For example, in Indonesia, in some area allowed to cut the forest, and Muhammadiyah is also contribute for the article, not the government have to limit, yeah, not only allowing the change of the land, yeah, the land use management and land tenure system, yeah. So we contribute to this law to make the green economy and sustainable development, because if government cannot control the land tenure system and land use management, then we lost all forests in Indonesia and also all greens, yeah, and it will endanger Indonesia, because Indonesia is archipelago country. If it's increasing climate, it will have the rising sea level. There are many island could be disappear. Yeah, no more small island, which is very important, yeah, to be part of the Cape. And there is one other question on how the community healthcare, especially elderly people. We do have the unit for elderly or nursery. We have nursery home and elderly people as well. And Muhammadiyah is also providing like the health insurance system, yeah, helping the community, because Indonesia already applied universal healthcare, but sometimes poor people cannot pay, yeah, or the people in the remote area cannot pay, yeah, because they don't have enough cases or economy to pay, because they are still rely on agriculture. So Muhammadiyah also reach out providing the healthcare, not only the elderly, but it's also people in the remote area. Even Muhammadiyah having a food clinic, the clinic that like clinic or a ship ambulance that could reach a remote island, yeah. So this is part of the services on the healthcare for the elderly, remote area, and so on. Okay, it's already 3. Is there any other? I see.
Sorry, ma'am, but I think this is the end of the
Okay.
Q&A, because this is has reached the limit of the time. And
Okay.
before we end this session, I have several key points. The first is Muhammadiyah is not only moved as one of the biggest Islamic organization in Indonesia since it's established in the 1912, and then Muhammadiyah also moved at the education sector. This can be proven that Muhammadiyah has a lot of universities and schools. And Muhammadiyah also moved at disaster management sector. Muhammadiyah has Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center. And Muhammadiyah also moved at the environmental issues. And the third is Muhammadiyah is not only help the Islamic people, but all the people from other religions in Indonesia. This can be concluded that Muhammadiyah has a huge impact for Indonesian society, because the vision Muhammadiyah is based on the Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Okay, thank you for Mrs. Ama and all the participants. Before I end it, I need to all of you to open your camera, because we need to take a picture. Okay. Okay, everyone, smile. Okay. On my mark, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the next slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ama,
Thank
for
you. Bye,
today's
everyone.
session.
Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. For all the participants, this is the end of the day. And if you want to leave the Zoom, you can leave the Zoom from now. Thank you.